Our community was really excited about this one. Agentic GTM. Welcome, Alina, co-founder and co-CEO of Chili Piper. Our super pleasure. And yeah, an all-star panel here. Welcome to the show. How about we just start with a quick round of introduction, everyone?
Thank you, Julia, for having me. I'm very excited to have Lisa and Matt and Kevin, Jonathan and Kelly. We going to talk about use cases that are working, that we've implemented internally, that have produced results, and I'm very excited about that. What I would love to do as part of the introductions as well with everyone, if that's okay, is just name and what the company does in one short sentence. And I would also be super curious what everybody understands by AI agents, how you look at it in like just a short definition, because I feel that different people understand different things, and we can start with that. Does it work? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna maybe start. So I'm Alina Vandenberg. I'm the technical co-founder at Chili Piper. I love building and breaking things. That's where my most joy comes. And as soon as I saw that we can do so many cool with AI, I got everybody in the company excited as well. I made it more of a game. Everybody can volunteer and build AI agents on our GTM flow. And there are all sorts of rewards for it. Our company is all focused on demand gen conversion, how to optimize the buying funnel for better conversion rates. And for me personally, an agentic flow is different than a regular workflow that you would create with Zapier or something like that. Well, now with Zapier, you can also create agentic workflows, is the ability to make decisions in the process and learn in order to get to a goal. So there's more to the automation because there's also decision making in the process that's independent from a human. I would love, maybe Jonathan, you want to go next? Because that's who I see next on my screen.
Sure. Lena, big fan, and thank you, Julia, for letting me be a part of this. It's really exciting. So my name is Jonathan Carford. Some people call me Coach. I am the CEO of GTM AI Academy, which is all about on-demand and live education for how to use AI. And I'm also the head of GTM Growth for Momentum, which is what we call enterprise listing platform, as I'm sure we'll get into that here in a second. I would actually agree with you as far as your definition of agents, because I know in the email I sent you, like some people say agents is like a chatbot. I lean more towards the actual agency where you have this technology that can make decisions for itself and execute. So I agree with you on that one.
All right, Kelly. I love your microphone, Jonathan. It sounds so much better than mine.
Well, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hopping. I'm the CMO at Demandbase, and certainly agents are a big part of that. So Demandbase is account-based go-to-market platform, which is all data and insights. It's AI powered to drive the right recommendations on audience and message and next steps and things as you're going after target accounts. I think the agent space on ours, we've been talking so much about this lately in terms of what is really the value prop. We went through a bunch of messaging pillars about agents yesterday, and we said, is it really like, what's the hook? Is it about being faster? Is it about being better? Is it about being getting to strategic faster, more efficiently? Is it about like just the mundane going away and getting sort of burdensome, tedious tasks out of the way? And I think what we kind of came down to is it's really about for us, it's about unlocking the value of the platform. So for example, account-based can be super complex to put into place, to get adoption, to get the whole team running on it. And if you can get to value faster, meaning adoption is faster, your account lists are set up faster, your customer journeys are set up, your campaigns are done faster, all of that because they're all powered by these AI-powered insights, then you can actually benefit and drive revenue faster because you've unlocked more value in the platform. So to me, that's where agents really come in, is about how do we take the things that usually get in the way of productivity and getting those automated so that we can focus on the really strategic bets we want to make.
Okay. Matt, you want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Alina. And Great to be part of this panel today. I'm Matt Dare. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Vivin. We've raised over 130 million from Excel, Menlo, and Salesforce Ventures, and our customers are enterprises that you guys know in the audience: ADP, Snowflake, Dayforce, DocuSign. We've built the world's first AI sales engineer to give 24/7 coverage to your entire go-to-market team so they can move a whole lot faster on their own. So my definition of an agent is actually pretty simple. An agent can reason like an expert to actually complete work without being prompted. That's how we see it. That's what we're building toward as well. And we've deployed all sorts of agentic use cases at Vivin. And I'm really excited to share some of those learnings today with the rest of the group in real tangible sessions about what worked and what didn't, and hopefully people can learn from it.
Kevin?
Hey, I'm calling from the airport, so hopefully that doesn't sound like garbage. We're at an offsite
We can't tell.
right now.
We can't tell.
Okay, great. Yeah, I lead the go-to-market strategy at Common Room. Common Room is a platform for go-to-market efficiency or go-to-market pipeline creation. Essentially, we capture a bunch of buying signals, tell you the person in the account behind the signal, and then enable action on top of that. You can see how it kind of applies to AI as you capturing all this data as the foundation for AI agentic things to work on top of all that. And then as far as the definition of agentic, I feel like the jury's still out. I really like Matt's simplistic definition, or simplistic in a good way. And we're workshopping this analogy at Common Room where we think of an agent or AI as like a chat bot, where it's like the analogy is how you would tell a teenager to clean a room versus a housekeeper. And a teenager, you say, clean the fridge, vacuum this, like do all these things is like one by one. Whereas you tell a housekeeper like, oh, just clean the house, and it's there and it's done. So it's like agentic is a form of the analogy is like it's doing a job for you and reasoning. So I think everyone's kind of like had a similar response. So yeah.
Right, we can hear you well. We can't tell you're in an airport, so all good.
Great.
And last but not least, the queen of using agents for strategy, Liz. Liz, I want to go next.
Lena, you're so kind. I'm so humbled. So Lisa Adams, I'm an AI and executive advisor and also fractional CMO with Growth Path Partners. And I inspire go-to-market teams with what's possible with AI and help them with their transformation. And with regard to the definition of an AI agent, in its most simplistic form, I believe that it is AI that does things on our behalf autonomously. But the purist would say that it does things on our behalf autonomously in 5 different layers. So it sets goals, it plans, it executes, it learns, and it analyzes. So if it does all those things, then that's a pure agent. However, in today's environment, you can find different companies and different groups that do a subset of that. So they might primarily be doing the execution part or execution and a little bit of planning, and that's still called an agent. So I believe that the agent term now has a spectrum of capabilities along those 5 things that I mentioned.
Okay. All right. So my hope is that at the end of the session, we all come up with new ideas to implement in our GTM funnel and things that are working and things that we've tried and we already flopped on them. So it's not worth trying again, at least not in the next 3 months. So on practical use cases, for me, the biggest difference has made, and last year we only had 2 marketers that booked 1,400 sales qualified opportunities for our team, which is a mind-blowing number for coming from just 2 people. And the reason why we were able to do that is because we put all our data into Snowflake, so all our CRM data, all our marketing data, and we were able to query and personalize a lot of our funnel. And I'm going to give example of 2 workflows. I have like an entire Notion doc with what we've built, but I'm just going to give 2 examples, and I'm going to go around and get 2 examples from each one of you. The first one was around account scoring. So for us, being able to go to someone's website and see what their buying funnel looks like, who they're selling to, whether they have a contact us form, and all the details that show us whether there's leakage in the funnel would allow us to create an account score that was that allowed us to focus all our efforts to specific ones that we knew that they're going to convert fast. And then the second piece was providing an SDR with all the detailed information to reach out. They would take screenshots of the form. They would say what the message would look like, what the chat would look like. So the SDR would be able to craft super personalized messages based on what the agent had already discovered that was broken on their buying journey. So that was also a big amplification for our SDRs. All right, I'm going to go next. Maybe Jonathan, since we go in the same order, you give us your 2 examples also.
Sure. So the first one is with with momentum. So we have an agentic workflow where when we have identified the exit criteria that the salespeople are supposed to meet at a certain point of the sales stage, AI has the ability to analyze the conversations real time, so we can get all the information from the conversations, analyze the exit criteria as you go through stage by stage, and then once the things are already met, all the CRM data and all the exit criteria for whatever stage, it will automatically move the stage as it goes. So it's going through the process as the salesperson goes through. And for those people who don't trust the AI to do what it needs to do, there's a human in a loop factor where it will send a message to the opportunity owner saying, "Hey, you've met all the opportunities. Do you want to move this forward? Press this button." Just click that button in Slack and move the deal forward. So really nice to be able to let the salesperson kind of focus. The other one's kind of similar to what you said, Alina, and that's using Impler with various amounts of tools. Impler.ai, where we can use things like we have like a data coming into Slack, and then we have data from Clay and other enrichment sources. And then this agent understands when someone comes in from our B2B, for example. We get that Slack channel. We can understand what's going on. It can analyze when it's visited the website from our B2B, and then analyze that with Clay data and any of the enrichment third-party stuff, and then use that information to then go through a sequence of creating the messaging, reaching out on LinkedIn, doing the whole process using all the data points they require. And then the next level of that is it can analyze the person, title, and industry or company, and then look out and say, okay, what other companies are like this, and are other people who are like this, to then cross over to similar look-like type companies, which is kind of cool. So those are my 2.
All right, so it's also similar at top of the funnel also for the account scoring and the optimization of the close rates. Kelly, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, ours probably similar. I think Clay is a big one for us for our SDR. So similar to what Jonathan talked about, just supplementing and augmenting the data gaps that we have that not only help our SDRs be more effective and get them to the right data that they need to go after the accounts, but also like what do we kind of say, builds our own data. So it updates within our own contacts and updates within our own sort of data hygiene to make sure that we're kind of cleaning the data at the same time. So it both helps enable them, but also make sure that the next time it sort of cycles through. So that's been really helpful for us because our sellers have been able to get to contact information faster, which is always sort of the goal. So that's a big one. Another one that we have is, I don't know if I'd call it, I'm interested to see, by the way, in how the industry moves on agents versus, say, AI-powered workflows. Are they different? Are they the same thing? Is everything just going to kind of get rebranded as an agent when that's just because it's cool and sexy, but at the end of the day, it's just AI driving a workflow? So we use Jasper on the content team, but we've actually ended up using it across the organization. We run about 50 different workflows that come sort of prepackaged with Jasper, but we use it for everything from taking, a single thought leadership. We don't use it for original content creation as much because we sort of like owning the voice and things. But we use it to take a piece of content like an article, and we can use Jasper. It does these workflows. It automatically converts it to a LinkedIn post, or automatically converts it to a blog, or to a social post, or a quote, or anything else it's able to extract. And the brilliance of it that's different than, say, a Chat GPT is that it has all of our demand base data in it. So it's got our ICP definition. It's got all of our buying group messaging. It's got all of our our buying guides for customers. It's all the things that you need that are proprietary. So it's probably got 100 documents that are all about our own messaging, our own positioning, our own tone of voice, our own brand standards, whatever it is. And they have trained the answers back. And so everything is well informed on our own products and our own messaging that's able to populate all of our content. So that's been a big one. And then of course we're rolling out a whole bunch of agents from Demandbase just to help you get up and running on Demandbase faster. So that's just a few.
I'm really happy to hear that Jasper does some amazing things with AI on their own GTM as well, and they use Chili Piper to optimize all the ways in which they get prospects to buy faster. And I'm so happy that you're using them. I would be super curious, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, that we can get that later. I'd be super curious if you can have an example of what you have created with Jasper, like a post, so that I'm curious on the structure and like the format of it.
Yeah, what do you mean on how we've used like
Of
an
a
example?
LinkedIn post, of a LinkedIn post that was created with Jasper. If you can post it in the comments, if not, that's fine. I'm just curious the format.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
we're good.
happy to find one for sure. What we did, which was kind of crazy, is that we loaded in, like I have a podcast, so we loaded in like every episode of the podcast, and it was used to create my voice from that, like just the way that I talk and the way that I communicate. And then I overlaid that too with my posts. So sometimes I'll say, hey, here's an outline of what I want to talk about. Use Kelly.ai voice to actually write this thing and then create an article out of this. And it's just fascinating. So yeah, I'll drop an example in if I can find one.
Okay, Matt, I know that you've done a ton also. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I could talk for like an hour on this. I'm not going to monopolize it. I'll give you guys 3 examples, Alina, and then if you want to dig deeper, go for it. And I'll stick to like where we focused and the outcome, and then we
Okay.
could talk about like the tech behind it. Demand gen, sales engineering, legal. And each one of the 3, like on the demand gen side, like we had a traditional sort of SDR structure that you guys might have come across in any other B2B company, where there's an SDR leader, there's pods of SDRs that's rolling up to the sales team. And we basically dismantled that whole function, and we're able to reduce that down to a handful of folks that work directly with marketing and a whole host of different systems that actually have allowed us to blow all those historical pipeline numbers out of the water with a very, very different composition of like people and technology. So that's like one thing we could go down. The second thing, sales engineering. This isn't a Vivint commercial. Yes, we've built an AI sales engineer. That's our innovation. But the thing of like, well, why you care about this is like our reps don't go to enablement tools to ramp anymore. They're always ramped because the AI sales engineer knows everything about our products, our competition, our customers, all the new use cases, so they can move a whole lot faster on their own. That's just been like a crazy dynamic where you don't need the same ratios anymore and your reps can be more independent. And the third thing is legal. We do a host of different things with tools there where our turnaround time on red lines, like our sales team has never experienced that before. And that actually, like when it's crunch time at the end of a quarter, as much as we all know in B2B how much you want some level of linearity, that never happens. It always hockey sticks at the end. And being able to like quickly turn and move through contracts have given us a big edge where we can pull forward deals because of how quickly we can work through the legal side. Those are things we've already deployed across the board, and we have a whole host of other things in recruiting and support that we're looking at too. But those are big areas that we've invested in, some of the changes we've made, and happy to talk about how we make any of it work too when the time comes.
I love the legal use case. I use it a lot myself for legal red lines, and for enterprise, it makes a lot of sense that you're using that for the reps. For the first use case, I've always had a love-hate relationship with the idea of removing SDRs from the flow, because on one side you're removing people, and that has the mom in me feels bad whenever we're talking about that. But on the positive side, the way I always envision is that SDRs can get into roles that are fulfilling, like account executives, and it just means that they won't do low level work, and it's more fulfilling. We can dig further into that, but I would like to go first to Kevin, and then we can go back to the tech stack and all of that. So Kevin, you want to walk us through some use cases?
Yeah, nice segue into my section here too, because all of our use cases are more around like the SDR and AE side of things. And I think to your point of taking away the mundane, tedious tasks, like that's what we've been focusing on, enabling our SDRs with agentic workflows or whatever you want to call it. The first thing we do is take away all the process and hard work of doing an account research plan. And so we were able to cut that time from an hour to like 60 minutes just using AI and workflows, and we use Common Room for that. And the other thing, and I don't know if this is actually like agentic or AI, maybe it's just a powerful workflow, but it's kind of slick how we do it, where we have account IP tracking on our website. Some account hits our website when we don't have the person, the contact behind it. And so what we'll do is use AI to prospect the 5 most relevant titles, and then sync that with data in our Salesforce, and then assign an owner to it and all that kind of stuff, and then send it out, just an automated outbound email. And so that whole thing just happens in the background without any humans in the loop, and it's assigned to the right owner. When we get replies from it, it just lands in the SDRA's inbox. And so that whole workflow is automated, where in the past, like a year ago, it would take a Slack alert, reviewing the account, all this kind of stuff, and now it's all fully automated. So pretty slick use case, I would say. And we use Common for pretty much the whole thing, not to be the annoying guy to be slinging my own tech here.
I'm happy that you're removing friction. Not making your buyers work harder to get to your tech. Lisa, you have different kind of examples than the rest of us, because you were working with different clients. Do you want to give us like a couple of examples?
Yeah, and I just saw Julia's question here about she's noticing that the panel has noted
And
AI
Hollander.
agents for the sales process, right? And my use case actually is more on the right-hand side of the bow tie. So rather than the acquisition phase, it's really more on the use, retention, upsell, cross-sell, because we know how hard it is to acquire, and we are dealing with less resources, less budget, and it's a lot cheaper to grow our existing base than to get new customers. So my use case is really more around upsell and cross-sell, where we have a couple of clients that are really leaning in on that right side of the bow tie, where we're looking at the usage of different features on a SaaS platform. And depending on the features that they use and the amount of usage of those features, we try to determine which ones are the best opportunities for an upsell, which ones are the best opportunities for a cross-sell. So all that data is then fed to AI. AI then makes a determination which accounts are best suited for an upsell, cross-sell, or simply an awareness of our roadmap. And then depending on whether they're an upsell or a cross-sell opportunity for us, we then customize emails and an outreach essentially for them to do that motion. We also use AI to do an in-app message for those cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So I think it's slightly a different use case because we're dealing with clients that don't have a lot of resources to acquire new business. So they're trying their best to keep who they have and improve market wallet share with those customers. And I think my second use case is a bit more broader than what I just said, where we've actually transformed a really lean marketing team, absolutely wanting to do more with less. That pretty much is the mantra nowadays, more with less, but still achieve the goals, where we've transformed this team into a 45-member organization where 25 are humans and 20 are AI teammates. So the AI teammates were actually built and are being managed by the humans to do very specific tasks. So they are actually on an org chart, and these AI assistants are reporting to the humans that built them. So in product marketing, we have a pitch deck creator. In campaigns, we have a performance analyzer. In content marketing, we have a topic generator. So there's about 20 of those that are in support of the humans doing the mundane and repetitive tasks.
I love the cross-sell and upsell use case. For now, we're also doing a lot there because our expansion use case is big. But I find that the account scoring modeling that we've had for the top of the funnel is sufficient for us to do the automatic plays. So if we identify certain accounts that fit certain criteria, we put them into advertising. We actually run advertising campaigns against our customer base also. I don't know if some of you are already customers, have already seen my campaigns, maybe. But we actually multi-thread several buyers into that funnel as well, because our user is not our buyer. So it's very important for us to do those multi-threaded plays, not only sales, like Julia is asking. We run a lot of advertising campaigns into the funnel. You wanted to say something, Matt?
Yeah, I wanted to maybe continue on that question too around, why did we all focus on sales, or at least this discussion for it? And to Liza's point, I don't think that's the case. Like even for us on the engineering side, like if your engineers aren't using Cursor, right, they're being left behind. Like that's like another great example of an AI-driven tool that's going to give them massive productivity and development. And I was talking to Julie about this yesterday. I had like a simple matrix that talks about like how quickly how quickly AI is going to impact your role and effectively maybe, put you out of a job as a human or teach you that you need to learn something different. And if it's just a simple grid between the complexity of your role and the level of live interaction that you have with somebody, that's like a really simple matrix that you can just think about. So if you're really high complexity, really live interaction, you're probably using these agents to like augment and help you do things. But if you're low complexity, low live interaction, you can just sort of live up to what Gen AI is all about, which is disruptive labor, like getting rid of some of these roles. And I think that's why there's so much noise in the AI SDR space, because it is a perfect zone for that sort of that bent of disruption. So like for us, this might sound a little complicated, but when we made that change from the big SDR org to what we run now, we'll have Warmly help us with interesting intent signals. That feeds into Common Room that helps us out with segmentation. That Common Room hooks into HubSpot or Gong Engage that allows us to then go and do the really type of targeted outreach. And thanks, Julia, that was what I was mentioning before. And then ultimately that helps us drive traffic to our website, which is Webflow, which we've had Chili Piper embedded in Webflow, that this whole consortium allows us to take what we were doing all this inbound and outbound for and just sort of automate the hell out of this whole stuff. Now, I think what's interesting, and Alina and Kevin, I'm customers of your guys and happy with your guys' service, but I think what's interesting now, you look at where OpenAI is going with their sales agent and what 11x is trying to do, and there's people in that space that are trying to then consolidate and wrap all this stuff up. And we didn't feel like those tools as like the one-stop shop to handle everything in that sense was really there yet. But I could definitely see like next renewal cycle, like those things are going to be more mature potentially when the time comes too.
For sure, there's a lot of in this space, there's a lot of disruption, and there's a lot more gray area between the tools and what does what and who does it well. I think that as it comes to the SaaS industry, OpenAI is going to disrupt many companies, especially for simple use cases, especially for SMBs. And that's a good thing. I think that AI is here for intelligence, not yet for wisdom, but for intelligence, definitely. And it helps us do our jobs better. Kevin, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to Matt's point of, maybe the foundational models or maybe like Anthropic or OpenAI will get there is where you don't need that a platform or a tool like Common Room or Chili Piper or whatever. But I think one part that's missing from those things fully taking over SaaS right now is just like they don't have the connectivity to all the data points like your sales the data warehouse Snowflake is what the word I was looking for, or your CRM, or all these different like data points. And so being able to aggregate that and connect to all those different things, the extensibility issue is, certainly something that is like required to get the right data in, because like the quality of the outputs is just as good as like the data that you feed into the model. So like I think that is a really key place where you can actually make a difference versus versus like an ineffective AI SDR is not going to work if it's just like, crawling LinkedIn for what's public when it's not not using your internal first party proprietary data.
Yeah, I think the data makes a huge difference, right? I mean, if you're not powering with the right, I would guess if you're not unifying your data together and using it to power these agents, then, it's just, I mean, it's like any part of AI, right? It's garbage in, garbage out. And the automation doesn't help if it ends up being crap. So I think that's interesting. Was thinking about Matt's comment. Do y'all think of these agents as being, it sounds like cost savings, and when they were talking about the mix of sort of human and AI org chart and things like that, like in my head, yes, I'm sure there's cost savings that will happen, but I don't want to think of agents as replacing human jobs. Instead, I feel like I want to use the humans to get the more strategic work out of you. And so that we can actually just move faster because we're able to spend more time doing the good, meaty, strategic stuff. And we're just sort of outsourcing or whatever to these agents, the more mundane. So I never think of it as cost savings. I think of it as revenue acceleration. But I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that.
I love that reframing, and I do imagine that at some point, if OpenAI gets access to the data, so it has access to your CRM and it has access to Snowflake or anything like that, they could still do many of the things that us in SaaS do, but there is an extra layer of expertise because these agents can only produce as well as the wisdom behind the people that program and structure the agents. And when you've been in the industry for like 10 years, it's hard to replicate that by the OpenAI team on what the best way to structure these workflows, but the best way to get most out of it. And that expertise and wisdom of humans is still, we're still better at it, especially in certain spheres. I don't know how things are going to evolve past the 10-year mark, but I would imagine that for the next 5 to 10 years, that wisdom is going to remain for us to have an to be able to get the most out of it. I would also be curious now to get into some of the flops as well, some of the things that you've tried and you thought, oh my gosh, this is going to work, and it completely failed. And I remember one of you had interesting examples before. I think it was you, Jonathan, on the chat flow, or maybe it was you, Matt, I don't remember.
You want to go first, John?
Go for it. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, fine. Yeah, like two ones. I mean, we're always experimenting with this stuff as well, and also just to double back on Kelly's point, which I liked on the agent value prop case. Like I always found, it's going to spike on one of 3 dimensions. It's either faster, cheaper, better. Like, and it's okay. Which one of those is like the agent really going to highlight? Now we're always in search for these things. So two things came to mind. One was like, we're always trying to figure out on the video and image creation side, like, can we offboard a lot of the creative work that we do? And we haven't really found anything that we love there yet, because what we found is there's ways that you can do things internally faster, but when it comes to like the actual creative production asset that you want to put out in the world, we just find ourselves like toiling in the last 10%. You're like, God, this would have just been a lot faster to do this end to end with a human to begin with. And then like the secondary thing that we had tried was some of those a little bit more out there, like AI website agents and bots, where a website visitor will just go and like sort of converse with this thing that's sitting on your website. And the problem with that is they're just like wildly inaccurate. So whenever we had somebody like come in that realm and then get sent to sales, like the salesperson is coming into that conversation like worse off than they would have otherwise, because this sort of inaccurate bot whose brain was the basis of the LLM, which is the wrong brain to put in an agent, is actually sort of skewing the initial conversation. So those are 2 things that were like, those didn't really work for us in terms of trying to get like full production image, video, marketing assets, and then also thinking that somebody could like interact and get a good leg up for a sales conversation by interacting with something on a website.
It depends a lot on the industry and the use case. And I can see, Matt, why if in your case it didn't work. There are certain LLMs that do perform really well, especially on B2C B2C websites. It can do really well. On B2B, there's been a lot of hit and miss. We've refrained back from releasing our own AI agent on chat because of that. There's still a lot more RAG experimentation that needs to be done before it's like, okay, I trust it. We're not at that point yet, but I think that in the next 3 or 6 months is going to get better. Any other flops? Maybe Jonathan?
Yeah, so mine was I was making an SEO agent team, so I hooked up Relevance to Make and to SEMrush. And was just working on experimenting to see what kind of content to do. So I had this agent team where I had a manager agent, and then a backlink agent, and then a research agent, and a keyword agent, and then a writing agent, and then an editing agent, and they all worked together. And it broke several times because it was just creating content that, number one, was not even close to remotely what I was trying to get to. It was just accessing the wrong data. So it's just, one of those things. A few months ago, I was experimenting with all this of trying to get it to work. That it's obviously really important to tinker and to play, but also iterate and test like crazy, because all my good successes have come from failing many, many, many times before I get to the right result. But as an example, our flop, as the output was with the name of momentum. There's a lot of different momentums. And there's like this momentum medical thing, and so it made this article about medical. I was like, what in the world is this? And so I just started hallucinating on the topic, which obviously wasn't good. So yeah, that was mine.
It was brave of you to try to do your entire team of agents talking to each other. But
Eventually
it's going to work, but there's more tinkering for sure. Kelly, some flops from you?
I mean, other than you said creative, I'll say I don't know if you've ever done headshots with AI, but I look like boardroom Barbie or something. Like it's so bad. Like it makes me have like I look like I weigh like 97 pounds and they're horrible. So that's the only thing I will say is that that one is my biggest flop. Outside of that, I think it's more of the change management side, I would say, that we have the challenge on. It's not that the AI use case doesn't work. It sometimes is that the org isn't ready to use it. So for instance, when we added the clay piece to the SDRs, the behavior of getting them to look at the full account data differently, or to know like way to get the full value of what the account data was showing, I think is a change muscle. And so adoption of that agent running in the background, I think has been the bigger challenge, versus the agent itself flopping. So that's kind of the big one. Sometimes we have a little bit on sort of voice and tone we have to play with, that gets us there. But I think we've seen a ton of success running it in inside like our platform and things like that we've seen. I think it's the third party integrations we're still trying to work through. But yeah, stay away
Yeah,
from it.
for sure, the buy-in from the other teams to use the agents to in their favor takes a while. They have to see the benefits, and you have to spend the time with each SDR to adapt. Yeah. Oh, Kevin, you want
I
to?
tried. Yeah. I was gonna say I tried one of the AI SDR tools that I won't name, but and
I
I'm a
did
total
many of them
believer.
too.
I'm a total believer in the technology. I just don't think it's quite there yet. What I found is that it's I had to prompt it to death so that it wouldn't like hallucinate or say like, oh, I hope this email finds you well and stuff like that. And so essentially like the amount of prompting that I had to put into it, it would come up with the same exact template every single time, and like two or three differentiated best messages that go out to the same exact person or the same exact like prospects. And so I was like, I should have probably just wrote this email myself or wrote the sequence myself and then like use the sequencer like outreach or something. So yeah, and I tried it out. I think I sent like 3,000 emails from it. We're targeting like a smaller unrisky audience for us that wasn't Square in our ICP and just like didn't get any responses or anything like that. So I think it'll evolve and we'll get there, but like that didn't work for me.
It didn't work for me yet either. My best performing emails are still our templates that I know that are true and tested, and I still experiment on low score accounts, and it's just yeah, still more work to do.
It's one of the challenges we have. We had considered whether we want to build like an AI SDR capability into our product. Our competitor has it, and we were like losing some deals on it. And then what ended up happening was because they had it and we didn't. And then what would happen is they would go over and they would choose the competitor because of the availability of that feature. And then they'd boomerang back not too long after because they're like, well, we chose for this thing, but that thing kind of stinks. And we're like, yeah, I mean, so there's also like the ability like to just figure out like which of this AI, like which of these are really going to stick around. I read a stat the other day that said like 35 or 40% of AI companies won't be around in a year. I'm sure a whole new batch will be doing something else, but of the current batch that are available, and I think it's because the concept is there. I think the quality is where they're going to kind of make or break, and so just interesting to kind of follow that journey and seeing like how much you can believe in the marketing of AI versus the actual delivery of really solid content.
I feel the same pressure in the buying cycle. There are competitors that have certain things with AI, and I know for a fact from their customers that it doesn't work. But it's hard to convince someone that what I'm saying is true unless they actually experience it. And I have a lot of boomerangs in the same way. Lisa, you want to give us some flops?
Oh my gosh, I love this topic because I have many flops, but I won't tell you about my many flops. As they say, with success, we win, and with failures, we learn. And that's how I learn. So I have many, many failures. But I'm going to plus 100 what Kelly said about change management, right? Like AI, I think the AI adoption is less about technology, less about innovation. It's truly more about the humans. The humans are the toughest part of this. And if we can't meet people where they are and be respectful and graceful about how we bring them along, that is going to backfire tremendously. I think trust building is so critically important. But more specifically in the flops, you know, my initial thought on AI, this was about a year ago, was, oh, this thing should be able to do math super well, right? So heck, it's AI. It should be able to do math. But it is a large language model and it's good in language and it's not good in math. So, for very simple math, it's okay, but you get to 30,000 rows of Excel based on customer feedback at a huge event, and you try to analyze all that data, it will give you really good insights. But for it to give you very precise calculations and graphs and stats that are accurate, it's not going to go very well. So that was a lesson learned. And I think we just need to really reset our expectations that if it's something more nuanced and it's more around language, then I think AI is really good at it today. With math, really complex calculations, big spreadsheets, it's not today. And the qualification is today because it continues to move forward and advance. So at some point, this will get super good.
Yeah, it's progressing a lot faster, but on the simpler things around math, it's definitely challenging. I'm going to go to the last topic, which is what's a tech stack that's enabling you to have best results. We've covered some of the tools already, but I would love to dig a little bit further. For me, the most valuable in my tech stack right now is Snowflake and Gemini. I have everything in Snowflake. I don't even need Salesforce anymore. I don't even need HubSpot anymore. It's becoming my truth. And we create most of our workflows with Gemini. So for instance, right now I have all my customer data in Snowflake, and the queries that I do are around what messaging is winning, what's winning against competitors, looking for customer testimonials, looking for customer data. Everything is in Snowflake, and I query it, and the kind of insights that everybody gets in the team, the product team, the design team, it's like mind-blowing to me that we get access so fast. This would have taken us like, I don't know, the data team months and months of research, and now we have that access super fast. So for me, these are the two tools that are most valuable in my tech stack right now. All right, we go next maybe to Jonathan.
Oh man, I got a humongous list, but I want to go back to Google released a white paper. It talked about the three main components of agents. I want to make sure I call those out, which is you need an LLM, you need a software, you need some sort of orchestration layer. So for me, I mean, obviously I use the main three, obviously OpenAI, Claude, and then Gemini for my LLMs. For orchestration, Momentum Max is like an orchestration layer. So obviously that's one. Empler is another one. I use Relevance, Make for automation, and then tapping into things of Perplexity or other APIs. And I'm seeing more and more tools becoming more available with giving their APIs open, so you can use things like SEMrush and other tools. And like I use, our team's a customer of Chili Piper as well, so we use some of the data bank and things we get from Chili Piper, which is awesome. But I would also suggest, if I can, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. I would say kind of like you, Lena, of just picking 2 or 3 core and pushing those as much as possible, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed with all the technology out there, and just kind of limit yourself to the ones you get really familiar with and get powerful, and then add them on carefully based on the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
Oh my gosh, I completely agree. It's so overwhelming. Like it feels like every minute there's a new tool that does something, and every second something else that does something else better. And it's like, oh, it's very debilitating. Matt, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll keep this one short because I shared with you guys, well, the tech stack on the demand gen case and the sales engineering case. The one that I'll just put out there to Jonathan's point is, I mean, everybody in the company has access to enterprise OpenAI. That's just a given. It was a big part of the culture change, like Liza and Kelly, what you're saying about change management. It's really hard to drive change management. Not everybody have access to the tools, and even if everybody has a very, very different use case, it just gets people in the motion that using this tool is going to just be part and parcel for your job moving forward as well. So that's been critical for us for a variety of reasons.
Seems like you're doing a lot. I think we would all love more in-depth implementation from you, Matt, especially on the external support. Jonathan also on all the things SEO, as soon as he nails down the agents talking to each other. Kevin, you want to go next? Or maybe
I was
Kelly?
gonna say
Yeah.
it works now. It didn't then, but it works now. How about that?
Yeah, maybe I can provide like a different take on tech stacks. I mean, I feel like there's just there's so much out there, and you can get overwhelmed on like connecting all this stuff, and then also having to maintain and manage it all. And I see some of the charts and flows that people are using, and I'm just like, wow, that is like way too complex for like a small early stage startup to be putting all these tools together. We have a term that we use called Frankenstack, where you see that, and it's like, oh, you could just do this with. I think getting back to the dream actually is just to simplify it incredibly would be to just like you said, Alita, just dump everything into Snowflake or dumping everything into a system of record, and then just have the AI work on top of that. Like maybe that's where we'll get in like 5 years. And it's just like there's a tech stack. It's like two different tools, but yeah, I mean we use typical stuff. Common Room. We use our own product. We use Salesforce. We use HubSpot. Um, uh, for analytics, we use like Metabase, stuff like that.
If we have all our Gong transcripts in there, it's so different, right? When you have this kind of intelligence and emails and call recordings for each one of accounts, especially kind of understanding which ones are converting better, why, what are the characteristics. You can do all sorts of inferences super fast. It's like mind blowing to me. It feels like I have 10 extra brains. Kelly,
I should
you
also
said
give a
that.
plug. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. I
go.
should also give a plug for Chili Piper. I didn't mention it, but we use Chili Piper for like it's been a game changer for our SDR team for managing inbound. So plugged in.
I'm so happy to hear. I'm so happy to hear. Kelly, you are saying that you're using Jasper. Is there anything else in your tech stack that you're very happy with?
I mean, certainly we run demand base on demand base. We run it internal, both for our sellers and our marketers, which is a big piece because that's all AI powered. We use Workato, which has some AI components into our RevOps capabilities. We also use Stencil on that side for marketing ops and the way that we communicate emails out, integrate with Slack and all of those things as well. We use Momentum is one that I really like. I don't know if you guys use it with, oh, it says that, look at that, Momentum, demand base uses Momentum. Somebody just told me that. Yes, we do, which is great for me because it basically sort of pulls all those Gong calls together into a summary and says, hey, your sellers are doing great at crystallizing this value prop, but they're really struggling with pricing, or they're really struggling to talk about data insights, or they're really, and so it helps us kind of troubleshoot at a thematic level in a really quick way. And I get that Slack update all the time, and I love it because then I can kind of figure out where to point with the product marketing team to kind of help enable our sellers. So that's one that's worked really well for us.
Very happy to hear. And what about you, Lisa? Matt, you wanted to add something on top of that?
No, keep going first. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the tech stack side, it's not an easy answer because the right answer for one company is not the right answer for another, right? Because we have different goals, we have different existing tech stacks, we have different strengths and weaknesses. So what I generally guide people to do is start with what you have. And for the most part, what you have will most likely have some AI capabilities in it. And if it doesn't, it probably has it in the roadmap. So whether it's your MarTech stack, sales stack, CS stack, right? Like take a look at what you have, because to Kelly's point, a huge part of this is change management. So if people are already familiar with the technology, the likeliness that they will use it is a much, much higher. So start with what you have. And then the second thing is have at least one or two foundational models, paid versions of it. So whether it's Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever you've got, because it will allow you to see what is possible. And a lot of the innovation are happening in those foundational models. And then thirdly, I guide people towards, all right, you're looking at your existing tech stack, you've got one or two foundational models. If those still don't address the need, then start looking at new technologies out there, new capabilities, startups perhaps, but be very mindful about this 14,000 vendor tech space that we're in, right? There will be consolidation, there will be mergers, and some of them will not be around. So we need to really be mindful of evaluating them to ensure that it aligns with our needs, evaluating the leadership team, the financial viability of that company, so that we're doing business with a company that will be around longer term. And then more personally, I shared on the chat, my role largely is in strategy. It's a lot of analytics, a lot of thought, a lot of thinking. So my tech stack tends to lean on thought partners. So the large language models like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and I actually use them simultaneously, pit them against each other. When one tells me one thing, I feed it into the other and get its opinion. And it kind of feels like I've got a team of 10 instead of just me and, a couple people that I brainstorm with. So
I like that you're making them compete for for your attention. We have 9 minutes. Matt wants to add something, and I wanted to talk about just one last word on the type of use cases that you're excited to try next. Some of the workflows that you're planning. Matt, you wanted to yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of actually a lead into that, Alina, because I didn't want to end this discussion without going there. Because actually, we could use some help too from this panelist, maybe expert point of view. Is there's like the dark side of AI as well, and one place that we felt that ourselves is in hiring, and recruiting, and what'll happen is like you open a rec and a role, and there's so much of an inundation on AI applicants and resumes that it's becoming very, very challenging to sift through candidate pools and profiles because people are using AI to apply to jobs en masse and then effectively cook up skill sets that mimic your job descriptions. And where we've seen this, even I wouldn't have expected this, even in certain interviews, folks are able to use AI to have a digital doppelganger representation of themselves, and they're not even on camera. They're behind the scenes talking through the digital doppelganger, researching questions as they go. So this is one of our areas of like where we want to go and use AI next is actually in this entire applicant screening candidate hiring pool, to actually start to cut through, I would say, some of these malicious cases that we're seeing in some of these cases. And I'm wondering if you guys also, if there's preferred tools that you've already run across, because we're just starting that investigation. But I think on the hiring side, everybody's going through it, and it's getting really, really messy really quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I was on some calls also where I could tell that the candidate was just using AI to respond my questions. And since then, and that happened maybe like 8 months ago. And since then, every time I get on a call with a candidate, I ask them to show me their hands. I was like, hands showing. I'm with my hands. You're with your hands. Everybody's open. It's only our brains that we're gonna use because I want to hear what you are about, not what AI is about. Yeah. I'm curious what others have done on this.
I was just saying in the chat, there's a new tech called Spark Hire. It's awesome. It does exactly what you're talking about as far as analysis and understanding both the resume, tones of speech, all the analysis you need to have to help you hire the right people and have assessments on the other side. So it's not just conversation based, but also assessment based. You can get a better idea of what they are and what they're capable of. So really, really good tech. I'm not affiliated with them. I just like it.
All right. What other things are you all curious and excited to try?
I'll go. I've been tinkering with the on the creative side, on the like HeyGen videos. Actually use I use it for promoting these AI events that I join. It's kind of fun. I haven't found like an actual core use case for it. It's more just like, wow, this is cool tech that like it's like an avatar of yourself essentially. And so I think there might be some unlocks there. I feel like the dream that I have, this is also kind of a flop, but like the dream that I would love to get to is just like upload my brain or my content into some sort of like data repository and then say like, oh, write a post or write something about this, and like it actually outputs something that sounds like it's in my voice. But haven't quite got it to that level yet. And it's always like diminishing returns trying to like go in and edit what the output of AI. So I'm very excited for something that actually works like that, but TBD if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah, my avatar is super weird. It doesn't have my accent at all. I've tried a million things, and it doesn't make the mistakes that I make and the ums and the ums. It's like super weird. And the other thing is that I have a book and like a million posts that I've created, and I try to rag it and try to create it in my own voice. And it just sounds like a robot, it just doesn't sound like the human I am yet. Liza, and Jonathan, you wanted to add something?
Lisa first, go ahead.
All right, go ahead. Well, okay, I'll go. I really want to try ChatGPT operator. We saw the demo of it, it ordering pizza, it reserving, restaurants and buying tickets at games. The reason I want to try it is I think it will change the way we market, because now we no longer just need to market to human beings, but we will need to market to the AI agents that serve the human beings. So this is so you kind of look at it as a mirror, right? We as go-to-market leaders, our teams are using AI to create content, but that same content will be judged by people that are using AI and the AIs that serve them. So it's like AI on both sides. So I think there's a lot of implications to the go-to-market engine and how we will cater to both humans and AI. Because what's important to humans, like personalization and experience and empathy and authentic stories, will not be relevant to AI agents. What's going to be relevant to them will be quick access to the information, really structured information, metadata, all sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to testing it to see how we might adapt with that kind of environment.
I relate a lot with that. I hope that in the future, bots only talk to bots for the boring stuff. And us, the humans, we keep the interesting topics. I have a personal anecdote. So I have an Aura ring that measures my stress, and I have a therapist. And whenever I talk to my therapist, you can see that my stress is actually decreasing when I'm talking to him. Whereas if I talk to ChatGPT about my traumas, my stress remains the same. So I think that humans are still good. And I hope that in the future, again, bots only talk to bots for the boring stuff.
I like
Well,
that.
Alina, what a treat. Thank you so much for the deep dive. And let's use it as a shameless plug. Tell us more about Chili Piper. What's the evolution of the platform, and what have you been building all this time?
Oh my gosh, I'm building so many things and I get so excited, but my team hates me for it. Right now, the thing that I'm most passionate about is all the things that we've built for ourselves in Snowflake that we have access to, that enables us to accelerate the personalization of accounts at scale. I want to give back to our customers, and some of the first things are things that I need myself very badly. I organize a lot of events and I want to put that on automatic pilot. I'm also creating a lot of personalized landing pages for all my accounts based on insights that I get on Gong calls, because different segments react differently, different personas react differently to the messages, different industries react different sizes, and creating all of these things at scale is like super exciting to me. It's going to be interesting because the space is kind of everybody's like on everybody else. My hope is that we can, I don't know, be one happy family and all the tech companies can, like, I don't know, maybe consolidate at some point and just we all have one simple option as buyers. But yeah, my roadmap is full of AI agents.
Super cool. What are your thoughts on OpenAI releasing all the sales agents in Tokyo or whatnot?
I'm really excited that they're pushing this and they're showing what can be done and they're making more mainstream, because otherwise I would have to do the education all by myself. And the fact that OpenAI shows that this is a possibility to others, it opens up the gate for us. I think that for us on the SMBs and on the simple use cases, we've never been able to help anyway. So the fact that they're aiding on that for me is just, it's an accelerator.
And what's your prediction for this year?
Prediction on what the OpenAI will do?
GTM agents.
I tend to be, because because I'm so technical and I get excited about all these things. I imagine that everybody else does, and everybody else is building things, and everybody else is getting optimized workflows. But I realize that I'm in the minority. I hope that people can get excited about it as much as I am and understand all the possibilities and create more efficiencies in their team so that they can spend more time doing things that are rewarding and that are bringing them joy. And that is, to me, a catalyst to our best work, is to keep us focused on the type of things that we're really good at and the type of things that get us excited. And that's a rare thing to find, but I hope that's what AI gives us.
Thank you so much again. And last question, where can our community go to support you? What's the next big thing for Chili Piper? When's the next big release? Or yeah, where should we go?
I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Red Note. I am not on Blue Sky. I am not on X. I'm only on LinkedIn right now. And I'm finding that the discussion is very civil there. And I'm responding to everybody who interacts with me there. And I learn a lot. And I appreciate it when people do it, even with like negative feedback or anything that helps me learn. And I welcome those kind of conversations there.
Thank you so much. Kelly, Jonathan, Kevin, Matt, Lisa, and Alina, thank you again.